He sold a dream for $1, made millions overnight. And when it all came crashing down, he barely spent 2 years behind bars. Then the world turned his crimes into entertainment. This is the story of a man who didn't just cheat the system, he mastered it. And the craziest part? People still admire him. Queens, New York, early 1960s. A place where most families lived simple lives, where success meant stability, not extravagance. But there was one kid who didn't think like everyone else. While others were thinking about school, friends, and small ambitions, he was already thinking about money. 2 for 1, he says, handing over a cup of lemon ice. Thoughtful. Why? The customer asks. Because you'll bring me 3 more customers tomorrow. That kid wasn't just selling a product, he was testing psychology. By the end of one summer, he had made thousands, more than most adults around him. At an age when teenagers waste money, he was learning how to multiply it. So naturally, he followed what looked like a safe path: college, then dental school. A respectable career, stability, security. But on the very first day, something happened that changed everything. The dean stood in front of the class and said, "If you're here to become rich, you're in the wrong place." That sentence hit him like a brick. Within minutes, he stood up, walked out, and never came back. Because he didn't want comfort. He wanted wealth. Next came business. Not glamorous, not impressive. Door to door selling meat and seafood. Knocking on doors, convincing strangers to buy something they didn't plan to buy. "Ma'am, this is premium quality, cheaper than your local butcher." "Annoyed I don't eat red meat." "Perfect, let me show you our salmon." It wasn't about the product, it was about persuasion. For a while, it worked. Sales skyrocketed, money flowed in. But behind the scenes, chaos was building. Spoiled inventory, missed deliveries, unpaid bills. The entire operation collapsed faster than it grew. Most people would see failure. He saw something else, a realization. It didn't matter what he was selling. He could sell anything. That was the moment everything changed. He didn't need a better product. He needed a better game. So he stepped into a world where money moved faster than logic. Wall Street. The late 1980s. A time of excess, ambition, and greed. He started small, learning how brokers talked, how they controlled conversations, how they closed deals. It wasn't just about numbers, it was about influence. Then came the crash. Markets collapsed, phones went silent, people panicked. He lost his job. But while others saw disaster, he saw a loophole. Penny stocks, cheap, ignored, and mostly worthless. But they came with something powerful. Huge commissions, up to 50%. Same effort, 10 times the reward. He picked up the phone. Energetic. "Listen carefully," he tells a stranger. "This company is about to explode. You're getting in before everyone else." Hesitant. "I don't really understand the company." Confident. "You don't need to understand it. You just need to understand the opportunity." That line closed the deal. Not facts, not truth, just confidence. And just like that, he found his weapon. Soon, he wasn't alone. He partnered with someone just as hungry, just as fearless. Together, they built something that looked legitimate on the outside. But inside, it was pure chaos. A company with a prestigious name, offices filled with energy, young recruits with no experience. But one thing in common: hunger. They weren't trained to analyze. They were trained to convince. Every call followed the same structure: control the conversation, remove doubt, create urgency, close fast. It worked. Money poured in. But the real strategy wasn't just how they sold, it was who they sold to. They targeted everyday people, retirees, families, workers who trusted the system. They sold hope. Persuasive, This stock is going to change your life. Urgent. Get in now before it's too late. And when enough people believed it, the price went up. That's when they sold everything at the top, leaving everyone else with nothing. Over and over again. What they called business was actually manipulation. Within a few years, the operation exploded. The office turned into something unreal. Constant noise, constant deals, constant celebration. Money was everywhere. Success became addictive, but so did everything else. Drugs, ego, power. Lines blurred between business and chaos. People stopped caring about consequences. As long as the money kept coming, nothing else mattered. He built a world where winning was everything, and losing wasn't an option. But no empire built on illusion lasts forever. Cracks started to show. Complaints from investors, questions from inside the company, suspicious patterns. Authorities started paying attention. Money began moving in strange ways. Offshore accounts, fake names, hidden transactions. It wasn't just about making money anymore. It was about hiding it. Inside, things were falling apart. Pressure turned into paranoia. Celebration turned into addiction. Control turned into chaos. And he started losing control. Reckless decisions, dangerous behavior, a lifestyle that couldn't be sustained. Then came the moment everything shifted. Investigators began connecting the dots. Every call, every transaction, every lie. It was all being recorded, analyzed, built into a case. People around him started turning, not out of guilt, but fear. When the system you built starts collapsing, loyalty disappears. One morning, everything changed. Offices raided, documents seized, phones cut off. The game was over. But even then, he didn't stop. Even under investigation, he tried to move money, to outsmart the system one last time. That move became the final mistake, because this time, they were watching everything. The empire collapsed, and now he was facing decades in prison. So he did what he always did best. He made a deal. He talked. He cooperated. He gave information. One by one, the people who once followed him were dragged into the same fall. In the end, he didn't get decades. He got months, less than 2 years. While others paid a heavier price, he walked away with something unexpected. Time. Time to think. Time to reflect. Time to write. And that's when the story changed again. Because instead of disappearing, he turned his past into a product. He wrote everything down. The rise, the money, the chaos. But it didn't feel like regret. It felt like a story meant to entertain. People loved it. A man who built his life on selling illusions had found a new audience. Soon, his story became a movie, a global hit. Millions watched it. They laughed. They admired. They were fascinated. The same actions that destroyed lives became entertainment. And just like that, he was no longer just a criminal. He was an icon. But outside the spotlight, there were real people. People who lost everything. Savings, dreams, security. For them, it wasn't a story. It was reality. Money that never came back. Promises that were never real. While he moved forward, they stayed behind. He was ordered to repay millions. But most of it never returned. And today, he's still selling. Not stocks, not dreams of quick money, but something even more powerful, his story. He teaches, he speaks, he motivates, and people listen. Because deep down, there's something uncomfortable about this story. It forces a question. Was he just a fraud? Or was he simply better at playing the same game everyone else was playing? He once said, thoughtful, "I was greedy, but so was everyone else." Maybe that's why the story doesn't feel like a warning. It feels like a temptation. Because at some level, people don't just judge him. They imagine being him. And maybe that's the most dangerous part of all.